Hola, I'm your host Chof, and welcome to Soulful. I built a successful coaching business, and now I'm building a community all around self-healing, self-discovery, and personal empowerment. Join me for some deep insights, real talk, and the wisdom to transform your mind and your life that will leave you feeling soulful.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Podcast. I am going to be very transparent and candid with you all, um, in that I am navigating, one of the most uncertain seasons of my life right now. Um, and yet I've somehow have never felt more like myself. And I really want to just share honestly um, what that looks like in real time, what that certainty feels like and how we built that. And I just don't feel like there's enough people talking about how you actually get there, So what it is that I'm navigating currently has a lot to do with my health, has a lot to do with my lupus, and it has a lot to do with this next chapter and journey that I'm embarking on with a lot of unknowns and no clear answers yet. And I'll dive into that in a little bit, but I just want to share first that, I don't have it figured out. We are in it. We are in the middle of it in real time, but something about it this time or something about navigating uncertainty this time feels different. And that's what I'm trying to understand. That's what I'm trying to unpack. And I hope that by sharing this with you all, that it helps you in those moments and those areas where you're feeling uncertain in your life as well. Okay, so let's get specific. Let's get real and let me share with you what I'm navigating. So when it comes to my health, when it comes to my lupus, this new journey, a new chapter that I'm embarking on is family planning and fertility. And this is not something I have shared openly with very many people at all. Honestly, I think I can tell you there's maybe 4 to 6 people in my life that actually know that I'm navigating this currently and know details. So it's very much real and it's very much I'm in the thick of it. So what's coming up during this experience is that there are just a lot of unknowns because this is completely new territory for me. Um, definitely with fertility and family planning. My partner and I, Andrew, we definitely want to have a family and we've known that from the beginning. And so knowing my situation and my lupus and my health condition, we know that this may take a few years to plan, right? I would say at the minimum, because there's a lot of considerations that go into fertility when you have an autoimmune disease. So the first thing we've had to tackle with, my lupus and my fertility is that the medication that I have been on for the last few years now is a very strong chemo drug, essentially. Um, I'm on a lower dose than people would be when on chemo, but it is a very similar drug to that, or it is a type of chemo drug, if you will. So with that drug, it has been very effective in managing my pain in the last few years. However, there are a lot of downsides to that. And one being, you cannot get pregnant on this drug. There are a lot of negative side effects if you were to become pregnant. And if you were pregnant, birth defects, etc. So it is just like an absolute no in terms of pregnancy. And so this is the biggest hurdle right now is getting myself, you know, off of that drug and onto other drugs that are pregnancy safe that hopefully will be as effective in terms of pain management and helping me just be able to function on a human level as best as possible. Okay, so we started that journey about a year ago. Uh, we're about to start our third medication now that is pregnancy safe because the first two, there were just a lot of complications, a lot of negative side effects that I experienced, and very little benefits in terms of pain management. So it's been a lot. I'll just be upfront. It has been a lot. A lot of unknown when, detoxing from a chemo drug and what comes with that. A lot of unknown when trialing a new medication and it takes months, weeks, many different attempts and many different doses to see if this works or not. And to get to a point where we're saying, okay, actually the negative side effects of these drugs that you're experiencing do not outweigh the effects that it may have for your pain management. So now it's time to try another drug and another drug. And so that experimentation, that unknown, that waiting, it has stirred up a lot of old fears, old traumas for me, and old stories around specifically my body and my health and what role lupus plays in that, you know? And this is not the kind of thing that you can just like think your way through, right? Like logically, I can tell myself that, okay, it's just a matter of testing drugs. And then once we find that perfect one that works, great, we can get pregnant or we can start to try to get pregnant. It's not that. And a lot of it is such a physical experience because my body is physically feeling these side effects. My body is physically feeling pain or etc. And it's a lot of emotional um, weight as well, right? It's trying new medication, getting your hopes up and getting yourself excited and in hopes that like this will be the drug and this will work for me to hopefully be able to conceive at some point, but more importantly, just to feel better, just to feel like I can manage my pain better. And so all of this to say, I am pleasantly surprised, I guess, that I am handling it better than I thought I would, if you will. Right. And there are definitely moments, and trust me, my partner Andrew can attest to this. There have definitely been many, many hard moments where I have broken and I've grieved a lot and shed a lot of tears and a lot of sadness and a lot of anger and frustration around this journey that I have to go through to hopefully get to that point where I can conceive. But I would say for the most part, I'm pleasantly surprised that I have not, I guess, fully fallen apart, that I'm still managing my life. I'm still overall doing well. And that's the piece that I really want to unpack today is like why I feel that I've been able to manage this uncertainty in this new territory better than I thought I would, and I've been thinking a lot about this. And I think the only thing I can really point to, or at the very least that came to mind for me, is that I know who I am right now. Like maybe more than I ever have. And I feel the most certain in myself right now, in this stage of my life, in this version of myself. And it's not that I feel more confident, if you will, or that things are going well or things that are going better, right? I think it's that I just truly know who I am, you know, what I value, what I stand for, what I tolerate and what I won't tolerate, you know, what I like and what I don't like. And I'm just getting more comfortable in my own skin in a way that I haven't always been. And I'm realizing, that that doesn't come from life getting easier because I really don't think that is the case for me necessarily. But I mean, that's all subjective. I think it's really around paying attention to who I am through the hard parts, through the hard seasons of my life, through the moments where I feel like this really could break me, and this is in those moments, this is when I really dig my feet into the ground. This is when I, 10 toes in, try to root myself more than ever. This is when grounding myself is more important than ever during those really hard seasons, during those moments and experiences and situations where you're just like, I cannot have one more thing go wrong. I cannot go through XYZ again, whatever that thing is for you, you know? Imagine like your roots are your base. Your roots are your foundation in a storm, in life, right? And regardless of your roots and where you are, there's always going to be things happening around you. There's always going to be life. There's always going to be excuses. There's always going to be hard stuff. There's always going to be a reason not to. There's always going to be weather, if you will, right? It's going to rain. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be windy. There's going to be a hailstorm. There's going to be an avalanche. There's going to be a downpour. There's going to be beautiful days and weeks of sunshine. But whatever the weather is, right, there is one thing that we can lean on, right? And that is our roots and how grounded we are in ourselves, because the weather, like life, always changes. Your circumstances are always changing, whether that's, a physical environment, with your health, if you have health things that you have to navigate, whether that's, physical health, um, mental health, right? Uh, Autoimmune conditions, diseases, whatever it is, right? There's always going to be things. There's relationships shifting, dynamics changing, relationships starting, ending, career, life transitions, financially, right? Weather and life. Two in one. Things are always shifting. You never fully have control over those things. But what you do have control over is who you are inside of it all, who you are through it all. And that is the one thing that travels with us, that we can take with us through all of those different seasons, So I really want to just stress how our circumstances, as much as we try to make ourselves believe that we have a lot of control over those things and circumstances can change in, a moment's notice. And the thing that we really have control over is ourselves, right? So that's what I really want to focus on, is like, how do we create that certainty in ourselves, that groundedness in ourselves, that rootedness in ourselves? And, surprise, it's not through a single moment. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not a quick fix. It's what I see as an accumulation of moments, of experiences, an accumulation of decisions, of actions we made. Okay. Every time you stay true to who you are instead of doing the easier thing, right? Our roots grow more, they become more rooted in the soil. Every time you stop performing, when you're not okay, the roots, again, becoming more certain in who you are. And that one specifically, right? When you stop performing and are able to show that you're not okay, I just wanted to repeat that one more for myself, more than anything. But another example, right? Every time you stop tolerating something that has maybe hurt you, has dimmed your light, that has slighted you in some way. Every time you stop shrinking yourself in rooms because you feel less than or not worthy, that's when the roots grow. Every time you speak up for yourself, stand up for yourself, stand up for others, the roots start growing. Um, and it's through a very slow, tedious, sometimes painful process, but it's through those hard seasons. It's through paying attention in those tougher moments when the easier thing to do is really not what you truly want, right? And choosing to stay in alignment with yourself, choosing to stay true to yourself, choosing integrity, choosing you over anybody else. That's when you really get rooted and you really get grounded and you create that certainty in yourself, right? You're creating certainty in yourself by, I don't want to say constantly, sorry, because that's not accurate. I would say consistently, whether that is, you know, few and far in between, or it's happening every single day, whatever that looks like for you and where you're at in your journey. But consistently choosing yourself is how you create that certainty within yourself. Because instead of choosing others, instead of choosing to people please, instead of choosing to sacrifice your values and your worth, instead of choosing to dim your light and, dim your voice, you're choosing yourself. And that's how we build that certainty muscle. I I didn't find this certainty in myself because everything in my life was easy and everything in my life was going well. And every hard decision that I had to make, that it was very clear what to do, or that it didn't come at a cost of my self-worth and my values and integrity and what would have been easier, if you will, right? So this might be something that you're currently navigating, right? Whether that's in, like we mentioned, health, career, finances, relationship with others, platonic, romantic relationship with yourself. But ultimately, this truly is the only thing that matters, is the certainty we have within ourselves, how rooted we are, because that's what we have control over, right? We don't have control over the ultimate outcome. We don't have control over the timeline and, the way things look or what people think of us or how people are going to respond. And so when we accept that fact and just double down on what we do have control over, which is us, right? We're not wasting energy anymore. Um, we're not just becoming this energy leak where instead of being intentional with where we're directing our energy, it's just like exiting us in all the different ways simply because we're choosing others instead of ourselves. So really what I want the core message, or hopefully the core takeaway to be from this episode, is that finding yourself and that certainty is not a luxury. It's not like a cliche. It is for your survival. I don't want to make this sound like so dramatic, but it really is for your survival. Because when you are rooted, right? When you're rooted in yourself, you can hold more space for yourself, for others, for abundance. You can hold more space for the entire emotional, spiritual, mental experience of being a human, right? When you're more rooted in yourself, you fear less, you show up more, and you show up more fully for everyone and everything in your life. And you make better decisions that are aligned with who you are, what you stand for, and what you truly want. Okay, so please stop waiting for that certainty outside of you, whether that is like a career goal, that is a relationship goal, that is a financial goal, that is a milestone, life stage goal, whatever that is. Stop waiting for certainty outside of you to feel okay inside, because we cannot control life. We cannot control the weather, right? But what we can do is ensure that we are rooted so strongly in our foundation that it doesn't matter what the weather throws at us, what life throws at us. We will not be torn down. We will not be shaken. We will not be uprooted. Okay. So like I said, if you're in an uncertain season of your life right now, like I am with my health, or all of the other examples that I shared, I want you to hear me when I say this. You do not have to have it figured out. You do not have to have it figured out. You just have to know who you are inside of it and who you are through it. And that's ultimately what will get you through that uncertainty. That's ultimately what's going to get you through those hard seasons. Okay. And I definitely know that's what's going to get me through this season of my life as well. Okay. So I hope that, this message lands with those who needed it most. If this resonated with you, right, the in between, the messy middle, the unknown, the uncertainty, and wanting to do this work, self-work, personal growth work, but not wanting to do it alone, right? I want to invite you to our upcoming Soulful Circle on Saturday, May 23rd at 10 a.m. PST. The Soulful Circle is completely free, at least this one, before I launch the community as a paid community. And the Soulful Circle is a small, intentional, intimate space where we actually talk about real stuff, the real parts of growth, the hard parts of growth, the unresolved parts, while we're all figuring this out in real time. And we do this together, right? So if you want in, the link is going to be in the show notes below, and I'd love to have you there. If you have any questions about the upcoming event, please DM me on IG. Always happy to have chats with any of my people and anybody that needs support. Okay. Thank you so much, friends. Wow. I feel like that was a huge release for me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you all, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.